Douglas Mwamba, Eddie Obi, Cherutich, welcome. Haron Agina, Jason Ray, Javan Onyango. So guys, we're starting, and to start us off is a performance by the Nairobi Horns Project. Enjoy and invite many people. Nairobi Horns Project are going to perform their first song, Boomba Train. Karibuni sana, enjoy.
Wacha niulizie basi.
Umepata? Eh?
From wherever you're joining us from, in Nairobi, around Kenya, around the world, because I know that there are people who are joining us from abroad. Now, my name is Papi OdeQ. I am an actor, a singer, a Benga musician, right? And the band leader of Tamasha Beats. I will be the moderator for today. Karibuni sana, sana, sana for this International Jazz Day. We're going to celebrate jazz in a special way, in our own special way, hapa ndani ya Nairobi. Now, quickly, some house rules, if you may. Number one, when you come in, please mute your microphone. Once you're in, just mute your microphone. I will give you a chance, or I'll call your name for you to speak. All right? Number two, this is technology. Waswahili wanasema hizi ni vitu ambazo zimetengenezwa na mikono ya binadamu. If we run to a technical difficulty, please bear with us. Be patient. Tulia too. We're going to sort it out. Because we have a special team here, experienced experts. They're going to sort it out in a jiffy. All right? So, welcome very much. There's a lot to look forward to. We have performances by Nairobi Horns Project. What they've just played is called Boomba Train, their remake of the pop song. And of course, we have Ricky na Marafiki coming up with some jazz, Kenyan jazz that is. We have Shamsi music. I saw Laka is inside here. Karibu sana Laka. We're waiting for your performance. And of course, we'll have other performances as time goes by. Now, the icing on the cake, ladies and gentlemen, will be the keynote address by the Secretary General of Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. She's also the CEO. You will see her later. Of course, we are here courtesy of the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. Now, talking of KNATCOM, I'm going to invite a special lady. She is called Emily Jero. Emily Njero is the Deputy Director in charge of Creative Arts in the Culture Program. She's going to join us and give us a welcoming remarks, and then she will invite the CEO, who is also the SG, the Secretary General, to give the keynote address. Karibuni sana, ladies and gentlemen, for this day. And for now, I'm going to hand over to you, Emily. Please, karibu. Go on. Unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Papi, for the invitation. Asante sana. Yangu ni kuwakaribisha sana sana na kuambia Happy International Jazz Day. Feel at home. We are very, very happy to have you all to celebrate this day. And mine is to welcome you and to thank you for joining in. Today, we are celebrating International Jazz Day online because of the restrictions. And we hope next year we can be able to support something physical so that we can also enjoy. Mine at this time, it's to welcome the Secretary General, Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, Dr. Evangeline Joka, to give us the keynote speech so that we can start. Karibu, Madam SG. Thank you. Yes. Let's prepare for Madam SG to give her keynote speech.
All right, mute your mic.
Officials from the UNESCO Region Office for Eastern Africa, national and county government officials present, distinguished institutions, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to join you this morning to preside over the International Jazz Day celebrations being held virtually. On behalf of the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, I take this opportunity to welcome you all to the 2021 Jazz International Day virtual celebrations and extend my appreciation to all of you for joining in. The International Jazz Day is an internationally recognized event held by UNESCO and United Nations. The day was proclaimed by UNESCO in November 2011 during the UNESCO General Conference. This International Day brings together communities, schools, artists, historians, academics, and jazz enthusiasts all over the world to celebrate and learn about the art of jazz, its roots, its future, and its impact. Jazz music is an important international art form that is celebrated for promoting peace, dialogue among cultures, diversity, and respect for human rights and human dignity, and reinforcing the role of youth for social change. This day is intended to raise awareness of the virtues of jazz as an educational tool and a force for empathy, dialogue, and enhanced cooperation among people. UNESCO recognizes culture as a key pillar for development and has several culture conventions and instruments that provide a unique global platform for international cooperation to protect and promote the world's cultural heritage and fostering of creativity, particularly the 2005 UNESCO Convention for the protection and promotion of the diversity of cultural expressions, and the 1980 recommendation on status of the artists call upon member states to develop and implement policies and measures that recognize and optimize the overall contribution of the culture and creative industries in the well-being of the society as well as economic and social development. The Kenya National Commission for UNESCO decided to mark this day by hosting a virtual dialogue and showcasing of Kenya jazz music owing to the current restrictions that prohibit social gatherings. The programs of this virtual event includes a panel discussion titled Jazz Music in Kenya, What is the Future? And streaming of Kenya jazz performances. I am glad to know that the panel discussions will be led by jazz professionals. It is my hope that the panel discussions will explore challenges and opportunities of survival of jazz music amid COVID-19 pandemic. It is noted that closure of cultural and entertainment spaces and restrictions on social events has led to loss of jobs and income for majority artists, including jazz musicians. Ladies and gentlemen, UNESCO has indeed called upon member states to encourage and strengthen resilience of the arts in the face of the enormous challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. Stakeholders are called upon to join hands to raise awareness and advocate for supportive policies and measures to support and protect artists, especially during times of crisis. The theme of the virtual thereof, like already mentioned, is Kenyan jazz music. What is the future? Inspiration for the International Jazz Day is drawn from the UNESCO 1980 recommendation concerning the status of the artists, which calls upon member states to improve the professional, social, and economic status of artists through the implementation of policies and measures such as training, social security, employment, income and tax conditions, mobility, and freedom of expression. Further, the dialogue will highlight the newly published UNESCO Open Roadmap for the implementation of the UNESCO 2005 Convention in the digital environment. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2021 edition of International Jazz Day coincides with the African Union Year of Arts and Culture and the United Nations International Year of Creative Economy. Declarations that have called upon nations to support culture and arts for sustainable development. And as a member state of UNESCO and African Union Commission, it is important that both national and county governments put in place measures and policies to protect and promote culture and arts for sustainable development. As we celebrate this day, the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO wishes to salute all jazz musicians for their work and further reaffirm our commitment to continue working together with stakeholders to enhance national capacities for promotion of culture and creative industries. Thank you, and God bless.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Secretary General, who is also the CEO of the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. We are being hosted by the KNATCOM, and of course, we are also live on Facebook, the Facebook page of Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. So, unaweza enda kule, unaweza kuwa na sisi hapa, but all kule kote, send us a text, comment, you know, give us your view. What do you think about jazz band? About jazz music in Kenya? Do you have questions? Please post them. We'll ask them to our panelists. Now, after this, we're going to have a panel discussion on what you've heard Madam SG talk about. The theme of today's International Jazz Day celebration is Kenyan jazz music. What is the future? So keep the comments coming in, you know, and let's get this going. Now, for now, we are here for music and we are here for jazz music. I'm going to invite and give space to Ricky na Marafiki. who are going to perform for us a special song. This is the common Take 5 song, but now done the Kenyan way. Keep it here.
Utaambia live yenye itakuwa na pia.
All right. Thank you very much, Ricky na Marafiki. And that was some amazing interpretation of an international song, giving it a Kenyan, flavor. Now, I'm looking at some comments coming in. Kuna mtu hapo ashasema, awareness on jazz music should be raised a few notches higher, especially on common media platforms. Because as it is, people only know of jazz in Kenya at the Safaricom Jazz concerts. So we're gonna go deeper and see what this festival, the Safaricom Jazz Festival, does to jazz music. All right. So welcome very much once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is the International Jazz Day. We should be trending right now on Twitter and social media. Use hashtag Jazz Day Kenya or hashtag International Jazz Day. All right. So I'm going now to introduce my panel. We're going to have a very good panel discussion. My panelists, and I'm going to start off with the person who's just left the stage, Ricky Nanjero. So, who is Ricky? Ricky is a renowned bass guitarist, of course, and the founder and band leader of Ricky na Marafiki. Ricky has played for several years for leading musicians, among them, of course, Eric Wainaina and many more. He has toured extensively in the USA, Germany, Europe, around Europe, kabisa. And of course, Ricky has also played at the Sauti za Busara Festival in Zanzibar. Ricky na Marafiki has 3 studio albums: Tucheze, released in 2010, So Simple, released in 2015, and of course, Soko Huru, released in 2019, of which I featured in. Ricky is also the founder, host, and curator of An Evening of Afro Jazz. This was a show that is a regular show that comes up in Nairobi and celebrates jazz music. So that is Ricky Nanjero. I will be welcoming him later on in the panel discussion. Next is Matthew Matix Rabala. He is an internationally acclaimed drummer and, of course, a drum teacher. He teaches drums to young people, and especially he took up teaching girls and young ladies drumming, both traditional and the conventional ones. And I know this for a fact because I've worked with him on this. So he's a teacher of drums and with a career spanning over 30 years. You will not believe it, but Matthew started off as an acrobat. Mathayo hii utaniambia. He has toured extensively as well. He has toured Africa, he has toured Europe, he has toured Asia, he has toured North America. He has played in various festivals, the North Sea Jazz Festival, the Smithsonian Folklife Festival in the US, Womex, Babel in France, Saudi Busara, and several others. Now, the most interesting thing about Matthew Matix is that he's a curator of several music events. One of them is Matthew Matix House of Jazz. He'll be telling us more about it. And of course, the Drum Jam, and of late, the Afropedia. Matthew Matix is also the founding member of Gravity Band. Gravity is a reggae band. Of course, as I've said, he tours extensively with UNASI during their heydays. Matthew Matix will be joining us later in the panel. He has played with Susanna Wio, Macadam, Eric Wainaina, Manu Dibango, Habib Kwate, and Richie Spice, among other leading musicians. Moving on swiftly, my next panelist is McKinley Mutsembi. From the outset, McKinley holds an MBA in business studies, but he's also a master trumpeter. He is the founder of the Nairobi Horns Project, a jazz band based in Nairobi. He is a player, of course, a composer, and a producer of music. McKinley started off in church, as most of us have, in the Salvation Army Church. He has played in several festivals, among them the Safaricom Jazz Festival, the Afrolect Festival, the Madaraka Festival, which he was also the curator. And of course, he has featured in Coke Studio for 5 seasons. McKinley has also played for several leading musicians, Sauti Sol, Jua Kali, you name it. He has done music with Ben Sol and all these other people. Now, I will be welcoming my panelists in a short while, but first of all, I want to remind everyone else, please mute your microphones so that we have a good discussion. To my panelists, be on standby. I'll be calling your name. You unmute your microphone and you give us your contribution. Now, I'm going to call Ricky. Ricky Nanjero, please, before you mute, all my panelists, we're going to start off with you telling us, what do you think of jazz music? What does jazz music mean to you? You know, tell us what jazz music means to you as an individual and as a performer, as a musician, as a practitioner. So, Ricky Nanjero, please unmute your mic and let's get your contribution. Ricky? Is Ricky on? Ricky, are you around? Okay, if Ricky is not on, I can see Matthew Matix Rabala is in. Please, Matthew, if you can tell us about your opinion of jazz music, what jazz music means to you, and then we shall take it from there later on. Matthew Matix?
I think I'm around now, eh?
what was happening is that the host needs to allow us to unmute our mics. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think there's we need to, OdeQ, you need to organize with your team to allow us to speak and given the opportunity. As you guys have heard, my name is Ricky Nanjero. I'm a jazz artist based in Nairobi, Afro Jazz to be precise. And just to add on what Papi has introduced, I don't have 3 albums, I have 5. And all the panelists have played in my album. McKinley was featured in the 2nd album. Matthew has played in all the albums. The 5th one is we're still working on it. He hasn't played in that. And I would say for me, jazz is a place where I get to express my music and I get to express myself and share the feelings that I have and what I feel about music. And it's also an opportunity for me to create moments and memories for people. That's it.
Thank you. Mathayo, Mathematics Rabala. Let's go. Mathayo, I can see you have not unmuted your mic. Mathayo, are you unmuted?
Oh, sawa. Yes, there was an issue. There was a dialogue box saying that the host does not accept speakers to unmute themselves. Okay, anyway, my name is Matthew Rabala Omondi. Those are my real names. I'm a drummer. Yes, there was an issue. There was a dialogue box saying that the host does not accept. Oh, there's latency also. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, tunakusikia.
Okay, so
tunakusikia, but we asked guys to mute themselves so that we deal with the latency and the issue of when guys come in, they go on live. So please, Mathayo is on floor. If you can mute your microphones, wale wengine.
Okay, so anyway, for me, jazz has a misconception in Kenya. People assume that every instrumental song is jazz music. That is a big misconception. For me, jazz music is the only music that anyone can enjoy, whether it's written on a score or just playing out of expression. It's the only music you can interpret and do it in any form, whether African, Latin, in funk, in call it in whichever time signature, and it's the only music you are allowed to break rules within the rules. That's my take on jazz.
Thank you very much, Mathayo. McKinley, I see you've come in. Welcome very much. Please, from the outset, just tell us what jazz music means to you and your take on jazz music generally as a person. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. You guys can hear me? Sorry, there's some audio challenges.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think jazz is a form of expression. I don't think it's a genre of music because it cuts the other genres. I think it's more of it's a feeling, you know, it's a way of thinking about and approaching music. It's a form of expression. The beauty about jazz is it can be customized to different cultures, to different places, to different styles, to different personalities. So jazz for me is a spirit.
Well, short and sweet. Jazz is a spirit. So, those were introductory remarks. We will be going deeper into all these discussions about jazz being a spirit. Are all instrumentals jazz music? As Ricky said, an expression. So how do they express themselves? All these questions will be dealt with when we come back in the next session. For now, I'm going to invite Shamsi Band, Shamsi Music, to perform for us their hit song, Morata. Morata means friend. Karibu sana Shamsi.
The name of this song is Morata. I want to celebrate friendship all over. Now this song has a bit of a dance to it. Now the word Morata means friendship or friend. I tell them now. You know who back now. And want to celebrate our friends, the people who are locked in, the people who are on the front lines. We celebrate you as our friends. And right now I want to highlight Mr. Emmanuel Mohol on the guitar.
That was Murata by Shamsi Band. Thank you very much, Shamsi. Asanteni sana. I can see Isaac Coker saying the lead guitarist is on fire. Kajetan, I can see you. Thank you very much. Coletta, Santi, Wamogo Shohe, Abigail, Alfi, Laka. Asante sana kwa hiyo mziki. Thank you very much, guys. Now, I want us to get into the discussion deeper. Now, my panelists, wherever you are, I want us to, all of us, go through this question. Number one, some people still doubt if Kenya really has jazz music. So does Kenya really have jazz music? And where is it coming from? All right? Where is the music coming from? And what is the status of Kenyan jazz music right now? All right? So I'm going to start once again with Ricky. Ricky, please, let's go. And then we'll go to mathematics, and then we'll go to McKinley. Ricky.
I think from what you've just seen, there's no need of you asking whether there's the future of jazz music in this country. And I think there is a lot of jazz. It's only that guys have not gotten an opportunity to share their music with everyone. And because the platforms are not as much as they're supposed to be. But thanks to guys like Matthew for coming up with the events that he curates. Thanks to McKinley and most of the guys who are bringing up events, because most of the people who are playing this music, they are born out of such events. And I think the future is very bright. We just need to have more spaces whereby guys can express themselves. I've seen Laka grow from being a young boy. I've played with him, and I can proudly say that the future is very bright. The future is very bright.
All right, Matthew, mathematics, please. What's your take?
Yes. Okay. My responses will be more on the side of the common mwananchi, so that we bring it down to for an easy understanding on what jazz is. So jazz exists in Kenya, and what people don't know, from my perspective, jazz is a language, just like any other form of music. So you have Latin jazz, you have swing, you have all forms of jazz, Afro jazz. You can even create a Benga jazz, but it's all about the language and the interpretation. So once we take music probably from like Akina NHP have done, what's that song that they did at the beginning?
Boomba Train.
Boomba Train. They gave it a jazz interpretation. It's a song you know, but they gave it a jazz interpretation, which is just a language. It's like an accent. When a Nigerian talks, he's talking in English, but from his accent, you can say, okay, that's a Nigerian. The same statement is made by a South African. You say, oh, that's English, but that's a South African speaking. Even locally, you'll know when a Kikuyu speaks in English, a Luo, probably a Kalenjin, and any other. So that's what jazz is. Jazz is the music you know in the language and the expression that the artist provides. So it's not just playing, and we have a lot of jazz musicians. People have started recognizing jazz after Safaricom Jazz, but jazz was there, probably in fancier hotels and uptown clubs like K1, Intercont, Tamambo, and all those fancy places, but it was there. Later on, I'll talk about the various events that have been there before Safaricom Jazz, so that people don't assume that Safaricom Jazz was the first jazz festival or event that was ever curated locally. For now, that's my take on Kenyan jazz.
All right, asante sana Mathayo. I like that you've brought up the aspect of fanciness. Fanciness. Yani jazz ni ngoma ya watu wako mbele. We're going to discuss that. So let's just hold on. McKinley, what is your take on jazz music and Kenyan jazz music particularly? Karibu. McKinley?
Yes.
Please, it's your turn.
Oh, okay, Sawa. Yes, I think to add on to what Matthew has said, the future is here. I mean, we are all here. And there is a lot of, especially young people, and by then I mean people younger than, who are really taking on jazz as a form of expression they like to be with. So that also points to the fact that, you know, the future is there. I mean, we will have, you know, Ricky has 5 records out, you know, that means he will do 10, 15, 20 more, who knows. That is still a form of future. But in addition to that, like say people like, especially Ricky and Matthew have mentored a lot of young musicians behind them. You know, they've invested a lot in bringing up other young fellas who are playing instruments. So yes, I think the future is strong. What personally I'm trying to work on is to have more of a recording culture, which I think that's where the challenge has been in the past, so that we have many more people recording more records, you know, as a way of documenting the development of jazz.
Okay, asante sana McKinley. From the responses I'm getting from our listeners and viewers, I have a few follow-up questions to our panelists. But before that, Laka of Shamsi is saying that they have 2 albums out, The Audition and Afro Synthesis, and you can get all this music on your favorite digital platforms. I would urge you, enda ununue mahali wanauza, kama ni Spotify, you know, uko kote Kenyans wamepanda mbele. Please buy Kenyan music. All right. So to my panelists, I have a number of concerns raised by you guys. Number 1, please let us discuss the place of Safaricom Jazz Festival in the promotion and growth of Kenyan music. Number 2, answer the question or the concern that jazz is elitist. Hii mambo ya jazz kukua kwa fancy hotels. I know that a CEO, Jacob, has played that Intercon for so long. So is it that jazz is elitist? Is it only found in fancy hotels? Kuna jazz karaoke, kuna jazz Madare, kuna jazz Kibra. Is it music for the masses? All right. And so that one, and what is the place of Safaricom Jazz Festival in the growth of music? Let's go, let's start with McKinley this time. McKinley, let's go with you first.
So yes, the Safaricom just made jazz popular in terms of putting it to the masses. You know, they made jazz a mass commodity. That's what they did. And then also in terms of also putting a global spotlight on Nairobi as a place that jazz happens, that also can be attributed to Safaricom Jazz. So from that, we got significant notice that people started thinking of Cape Town, Joburg, and Nairobi, you know, as a place that you can come and, you know, have a festival at. So that really was the big thing they did. And also they gave platforms to people like us. You know, Nairobi Horns really launched on Safaricom as a platform, and a lot of other bands to play on. And also, you know, they just exposed us to a lot more international acts who are coming here to perform and, you know, to share the music with us. So that is the place of Safaricom Jazz. It is an important place, I think, and you know, we are grateful that we were there to experience that that phase of growth. But now I think we have to, the people who play jazz have to own it. they have to take it up. They have to put it where they want it to be, you know, because we also know that seasons, especially for corporates, come and go. But if you are the practitioner in the field, then you need to have a long-term investment, so to speak, in the genre. What was the other question?
The other question is, why is jazz music perceived to be elitist?
I don't know. Perhaps because I guess people look at it as a quote unquote, and I'm using quote unquote, polished, and jazz is not polished at all.
Could it be because of the instruments? Brass instruments are very expensive. And
no, I think it's a marketing thing. It's the same way that people, why diamonds expensive? I mean, who decided that? It was a marketing decision to make diamonds expensive, you know. If you remember back in the 90s, when we had the Tusker adverts that were using jazz music, if you remember that, and jazz will be portrayed as a cool, you know, as a cool thing to do, you know. It goes with expensive liquor and it goes with the cool places. I guess from a marketing perspective, brands have used jazz to sell a certain kind of image. But I do not think, is jazz sophisticated? Yes. But is it nice and smooth and polished? No, it's very messy to play, you know. It's and Mathayo and Ricky will tell you it happens on the spot. Sometimes you're not sure what's happening the next minute, you know. So I think it's and yes, it's true. While it's true that there is lack of access to, like, yes, as brass instruments, yes, that's a big thing. But then what about the other instruments? Because guitars are all over, right? What there is to a lack of access to is education, because jazz is a complicated form of music that needs proper education. And we don't, at the moment, you know, a place that we have, you know, enough investment in education of music generally to play some kind of sophistication. So that might also be a barrier. So if there are barriers to entry, yes, there are barriers to entry. Is jazz uptown? Yes, it's been sold as uptown because it's been used for people in uptown. And maybe we as jazz musicians now need to go back, you know, to karaoke and take it there. You know, we should move out of Westlands and take it to the people. For me, the sound I went for with Nairobi Horns, I went for a street sound, which was very deliberate, that I wanted to play music that people can understand everywhere. I think also, I feel like Ricky's music speaks to me the same way. I feel like anyone can listen to Ricky. My grandma can listen to Ricky and understand what Ricky is talking about, which is a big thing, because it means that Ricky's audience is bigger, so to speak, than, say, a few people, which means Ricky has gone out of his way to express himself in a way that many people on the streets understand. Yeah.
All right, Mathayo, mathematics.
Okay. First of all, let me confess, I've tried to be a jazz drummer for a very long time. And somehow we have not had the connection. There's someone that is bad-mouthing me with the jazz, the jazz genre. But I've always compensated it with curating some of jazz events and productions. Currently, we are working with Kayamba. We are trying to do something called Mututo Jazz. So trying to get the traditional instruments. They're doing Kayamba songs with traditional music instruments like the marimba, kalimba, nyatiti, rutu, but with a jazzy background, chords and all that stuff. But that's, so for me, the simplicity of jazz is in its complexity. As weird as that statement sounds, that's jazz. That's why it's easier. Jazz is one of the few music that you can find someone that was born in Lavington playing with someone that was born in Madare, and they get together and they do jazz and understand each other on the same level. It is, I'll say this in the humblest of Nini. humblest of ways I can. Reggae music, sometimes is hard to play with someone who has never had the experience of listening to it over and over again. Benga music, the same. That's why when you play with someone who hasn't played Benga, it sounds like a fusion, because they've never understood how the nini goes. So before Safaricom Jazz, we had, I think we had Sierra Jazz in 2012. North Sea Jazz had come here in 2006. We had Jazz Under the Skies that was already here. That's after we had done so much as Drum Jam in terms of jazz. I'll talk about that later. But Safaricom Jazz for me, it put Kenya on an international map. Now people can say we have an international jazz festival in Kenya, because we didn't have a festival that can bring artists from outside and come and play. So for me, it gave us an opportunity as musicians and jazz fans to get to understand what the mentality of people from other places think when they are creating their jazz music. Because we have Americans, we have South Africans, we have Nigerians, we have people from all over the world, Cameroon, all over, Senegal. So when they come, when you hear their music and discuss with them on their creative process, you get to understand what perspective they see when they are creating their music and jazzifying it from the traditional sound from their place. So Safaricom was very integral in growing the jazz community, because now the local musicians were confident. My end target is playing at Safaricom, so that's the Premier League. If you play at Safaricom, you get an opportunity to get to higher platforms. That's. I hope I've answered all your questions.
Thank you, Matthau. Ricky, what's your take?
For me, I'd say that I think Safaricom took an opportunity that was open to take jazz into the next step. But I wouldn't say that they're the ones who made jazz to be known. There are people who are doing jazz from before. And it's a common thing that people try to like something that is foreign than something that they're used to. Like today, I was reading a post on social media whereby someone was saying that someone's kid was speaking like an American, and it's an interesting thing. For me, I don't find that to be interesting, because I think we need to start believing in our own past before we take up something that is foreign. And before Safaricom, most people never used to believe in what we play and what we are doing. I've played for chairs for a very long time, and I've done gigs for free to try and make people to believe that jazz is music that people can listen to. And for now, I would say that things look a bit different. I wouldn't say that jazz is music for the elite, because when we started playing this music, not even jazz, the music itself, getting an instrument was a very difficult thing. And some of us being in church gave us an opportunity to learn guitar for free, because even a music school, there are no music schools in Nairobi. And still, there are not very many good music schools that can teach you how to play and to perform. So some of us who used to learn things from other people. I used to go and watch Akina Matthew play at 680. He can tell you that in another church at 680, and learn a few stuffs from Chao playing bass. And I couldn't ask him because I don't know how he's going to teach me, because even he himself, he never used to understand what he was doing. Some things he just learns them from ear or by looking what someone else is doing. So I think if we had an opportunity to get the instruments to those kids who are in the ghetto, it would have been easier for them to understand this language of jazz. And if you look at the music that is played in Eastlands or in the ghetto, what people used to like then was music that borrowed a lot of playing from traditional instruments, because those are the easier instruments to get. And you see, people tend to not like that kind of music so much. If you tell someone to play something like Moshongwa from the Kikuyu, when they listen to that, they'll start laughing at you because they say that that's very cheap music and it's very easy to play. But when you tell someone to play Blue Bossa, everyone will be like, I keep on finding guys who coming to me and ask me, can you teach me how to play bass? So when you start, they tell me, all I want to learn is how to play China. Is it called China? It's called what? That song from Korea. And I told them, I don't know how to play it because I want you to start first from what you have, not what you don't have. And you see, if we can go back to a place whereby the government can allow us to have instruments, maybe at a tax-free rate and something like that, and a lot of instruments in Kenya, it's going to help. Like if you see now, we have a lot of musicians because there are so many instruments around and they're easily accessible. When we started doing this thing, even getting a place for rehearsing was very difficult. We never used to get a place to rehearse. Matthew used to have a studio for rehearsal and it was fully booked. You have a gig on Saturday, you got the studio on Monday, you're told the next free space is next week on Wednesday. So you try and negotiate to someone so that you can get a space on Friday so that you don't mess up on the gig on Saturday. So you see, but now there are so many spaces and music has opened up. So I think music can go back to where it's supposed to be, which is everyone's space for them to enjoy. We have a project that we've been doing for a while. It's called Jazz for Books, whereby we go to international schools and play for them jazz for free. And then we get the books and take them to the kids in the ghetto. And then we play for those kids jazz. And funny enough, the kids in the ghetto enjoy jazz more than the kids in the uptown schools. So that shows you where jazz is. It's not where we think it is. It's not the music for the elite. I believe jazz is music for everyone. It's only that they've packaged it to the elite so that it can be difficult to access it, so they can put a price to it.
All right. Thank you. What a discussion. And before we go to music, Kajetan is asking, is there a group that plays jazz on African traditional instruments? I think Mathayo partly answered that they are working on it. And of course, the whole idea of zero taxation on instruments, I think we can throw it to UNESCO, KNATCOM. I mean, they're players in the industry and they're part of government. They could see, and talk to the people, the treasury and all these people who can do this. CPA Lulalire, you ask, hope the discussion does that to Benga. Okay, we'll get back to you later. For now, tumeongea sana, tunaenda kwa muziki. We are here for music. And the next music is by Ricky na Marafiki. They've taken a Catholic hymn and made it jazzy. We've just learned that jazz is a language. So this is how Ricky na Marafiki are interpreting this in the jazz language. This is Uninyunyizie Maji, the jazzy way. Karibu, Ricky na Marafiki. Thank you very much, Ricky na marafiki. You know, I'm a Catholic. Hiyo ni wimbo yetu ya church and it sounds so good. So we're going to continue. Shout outs to James Mwaviswa. Karibu sana. And you're asking, I'm from Nakuru, looking for anyone who could support training jazz for kids and youth in the ghetto. We have a program to reduce crime among the youth in Nakuru. I think this is very, very nice. Please, if you could, if you don't mind, just write your email, or I will share it with people and they can see what to do. I have a particular question to McKinley. McKinley, if you can hear me. Is all music that is instrumental jazz? Is it? McKinley?
Yes. Good question. No, I don't think so, because I think that music is, I mean, all forms of music, most forms of music at some point have an instrumental element. So does it mean that if we take out the Benga singer from the Benga band, does that make it jazz? I'm throwing it back to you because you're a musician. When you start
I don't know. Maybe if you take, is it that you take the singing out and then you do the music like this? Huh? Does it make it Benga?
Because we could say the same for any other genre, right? Because we could ask that if because it's a very tricky question. It's like saying if we have an Orutu play in a song, does that make that song a particular genre? Because I could use an Orutu sample in a hip hop song, right? Does that make it stop being hip hop? So no, I don't think all instrumental music is jazz. I think in as much as jazz is free, there are some underpinnings of jazz in terms of the stylistic interpretation, in terms of especially harmonically, because it's a certain kind of harmonic approach that is used for jazz. In terms of rhythm, I mean, the rhythm could be anything. The rhythm is what people change a lot, but I tend to find that the harmony is quite locked in terms of what can be accepted as jazz or not. But also, in all honesty, this has been a point of contention for decades now. No one seems to agree on what is and what is not jazz. You know, no one seems to agree on that. But for me, that's why my personal feeling is it's a form of expression, because also people play at different levels of skill, right? So does it make the less skilled people less of jazz players than the more skilled people?
Mm.
And the answer is no, it doesn't. If you look at all the bass players in Nairobi, personal to them. But yes, once a song has when people start improvising, that is making up the music on the spot as they go on, then in most cases it might be called jazz.
All right.
Yeah.
Mathayo, I've known you for long. By the way, let me just say here and now that all these musicians, Mathayo, Ricky, and McKinley, I've played with them, I've performed with them, and they're consummate professionals and musicians. Now, Mathayo, I want to ask you something about what you used to do, something about Mathematics House of Jazz. You've been a curator of music for so long, and I can say that maybe this was your first one. What was the intention? Where is it now? Mathematics House of Jazz. Mathayo.
Okay, Mathematics House of Jazz is a project I started in 2011, but it was not my first jazz project. I did as Drum Jam. We did our first jazz concert in 2008 at Nairobi Cinema, a festival called Ngoma Jazz Festival. It featured Isaac Mugunda, Danger Shitaka, what's his name? Mystic Fusion. We had Juma Tutu. So we wanted to test the jazz scene in form of a festival, bring it out of the clubs and hotels to a common ground where people can access it without feeling out of place. So we did that. We also did Jazz in the Park 1, 2, and 3. The first one was also in 2008. We did a funds drive for post-election violence victims at the Memorial Park. We did the second one in 2011. That was an initiative we did for blood donation. So we did it with what's the name? Hope Worldwide. The third one we did for women in Pumwani Maternity Hospital. Some of them were being detained for lack of funds for discharge. So we did a concert for them for that initiative. So in 2011, while on tour with the Macadam in Denmark, I had an opportunity to sit down with the director at Copenhagen Jazz House. So as we were talking, he said he doesn't know a single jazz musician from Kenya. So I said, what? So after discussing with him, he said, if you can create a platform where jazz musicians can be playing and getting such a platform just like Copenhagen Jazz House, that would be helpful. I tried to approach corporate, NGOs, cultural institutions. They all said they are not in that space. So I decided, let me do it myself. So I created a platform for jazz musicians. Funny enough, after 3-4 sessions, I did not get other further jazz musicians. So I had people like Ricky, I had Threat Band, I had Combo, so after that I decided, let this be a platform for everyone. Anyone who feels like they need a platform to be seen, because most of the promoters had no time to go and listen to the lesser artists. So what I created was a platform that did not need auditions. All you needed to do is rehearse. I used to have a rehearsal space in town. So I used to give someone 10 hours of rehearsal before they played at House of Jazz. So that's how I built it. And my main focus has always been the instrumentalist, whether at Drum Jam or at Mathematics House of Jazz. So somehow I used to fund it from my pocket until my pocket almost ran dry. So the little support I had from friends and artists went down, so I had to nini. But it was a nice space for jazz musicians to grow. I think you also performed with Tamasha Beats.
You know, talk about myself later, but it was definitely one of the first places that I ever performed. It was definitely one of the performed at. Now we're back. Matteo, still on you. Could we say that Mathematics House of Jazz is what transformed into Drum Jam and then Afropedia? I don't want to talk about Gravity, but just those ones on your queuing work.
All of them are independent, but the first one was, it all started with Drum Jam. So Drum Jam is through Drum Jam the reason why we created Drum Jam is there's a time in the industry where we found ourselves, we were only 4 dependable drummers. So if a weekend has 16 gigs, we didn't know how to divide ourselves for 4 gigs each. So we decided to start Drum Jam so that we can increase the number of drummers in the industry to match the number of artists. Our initial target was 1 drummer per artist. If 1 artist records, he or she needs a drummer. So that's how we started Drum Jam. Then we expanded, we said no. If we have too many drummers and very few other instrumentalists, that would be a catastrophe. So we expanded it to other musicians. So we went for bass players, guitarists. So we created a forum where musicians can discuss and educate each other by exchanging ideas.
All right. Laka, I see you. You're saying what can be done to unify players in the jazz scene. So these education programs, recording projects, local festivals, grassroots campaigns, and skill transfer can happen. That is the education part that we are talking about. Now, to you, Ricky, I know for a fact that you've traveled far and wide, both locally, regionally, and internationally. What do you think, or what experiences can you share with the jazz community about what you learned uko nje, and what you think an artist, and a jazz artist for that, learns akienda nje? Ricky.
First of all, I'd like to start by saying that in Kenya, we have a lot of tribes, which gives us diversity. And at times, the diversity works against us as far as music is concerned. Laka said something very important, that why don't we come together and do something? And I think there's a lot of divisiveness in the industry, whereby guys are not supporting each other. And people are undercutting each other. And I would say that what can help us as an industry, as musicians, not even an industry, is coming together for a common cause, which is music. And I think everyone is busy trying to push their own agenda. But if you look at it, if we can put all our ideas together and work with one direction, this cake is too big for one person to eat it alone. It can fit for all of us. It's only that everyone wants a lion's share. But tukikula kidogo kidogo, we're going to get there. So I would say we need a lot of unity at the moment, and we need to start doing things together. I would say that my first event as a jazz musician or as a jazz artist, as a solo artist, was mathematics. He gave me the first space the first platform to perform. And I don't know why he believed in me. He's not even who called me and told me, hey, I want you to come and perform in this event. I didn't even have a band. I told him I don't have a band. He gave me a drummer called Abu. Though Abu alinisumbua, lakini thank you, Matthew. So I would say, you see, if someone like Matthew has believed in what you're doing and is taken it to the next level. If you look at my second album, I worked with musicians because I didn't have a budget, to be honest. McKinley came all the way from Mombasa. I didn't give him any money for traveling to Nairobi. I didn't give him accommodation. And he came to the studio and he arranged the horns for that, for the I think the 5 songs. He didn't ask me for anything. Okay, I'm not saying that people are supposed to be paid for performing their work, but I'm looking at it from this perspective. If this thing is to grow, whereby we're supposed to get money from it, let's work together. Let's incorporate each other in everything that you're doing. Matthew, I've traveled with him, even I think to Europe. Sindio, Matthew, if I'm not wrong. And there's a time I did an album, a jazz album, a collaborating album with a lady from Germany. And she came to Nairobi for 1 week. And I called Matthew up on a Sunday morning, that you're leaving on Monday morning going to Nanyuki. We didn't do rehearsals, we didn't do anything. And Matthew came and he did everything per excellence. Why am I saying this? It's because of the relationship that we've had with him. Anytime Matthew calls me for anything, I don't even ask him for a budget. The same thing. Matthew told me he's going to be my studio drummer forever. So as long as I'm going to record an album, I must leave a few songs for Matthew. And you see, by that collaboration and supporting each other, the industry is growing. If I get anything that can help Matthew in a way, definitely I'll have to incorporate him in there. The same way, if I get anything that can help McKinley or any other musician that we've collaborated together, I'll have to put them in. So what I'm trying to say is, if we can put our differences aside and let's make music by collaborating, this thing can go far than where it is, other than individual efforts.
Okay. We are celebrating the International Jazz Day. Welcome very much. If you're just joining us, we're having a panel discussion. We've had performances from Shamsi Music, from Ricky na Marafiki, from Nairobi Horns Project. We are moving on forward very well. Ukiwa na swali, ukiwa na comment, unaweza andika kwa chat or go to Facebook and leave a comment. Now, this whole recording will be aired live again on Facebook at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. So wale ambao waja watch, tell them to watch. So if you're out there and you didn't catch the whole thing, don't worry. At 9 p.m. we'll stream this again.